God wants to take your mess and make it a message.
When you're an inspiration to a lot of us.
Welcome to another episode of Manna Express TV show. I am your host, May Olushola, and as usual, it's always a pleasure knowing you're watching this evening. We have a phenomenal guest, and we have two great Christian rap artists that are going to rap this evening. So if you have kids, teenagers, and people in the house, make sure you put them before the screen because we're going to have an exciting show today. So without wasting much time, my guest this evening is Miss Cookie Rodriguez, and she is a phenomenal, exciting woman who has been taking gangs off the streets of Dallas. She has a powerful testimony which she's going to share with us. So without wasting any more time, join me in welcoming Miss Cookie Rodriguez to Manna Express show. Did I pronounce your name right?
Yeah, you did okay.
Oh, I did okay. I want to do best. So what's the right one? Rodriguez. Woohoo! Welcome, Cookie.
Well, thank you.
Thank you very much for honoring my invitation. I know it was such short notice, but I'm glad you came in.
Right.
Yes. I know Cookie. Why the name Cookie? I know your full name is Irma.
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 Yeah, I'm Puerto Rican, so I don't like, it's IRMA, but people say Irma, and I don't like it. So, no, in New York City many years ago, many years ago, when we were out in the streets, everybody had to have a nickname in case the police will stop us, you know, or will bust us or whatever. Well, we all had nicknames, and that's what we call each other. That way they wouldn't get to know us with our real names.
I see.
So I was Cookie. I had friends that were Tiny, Pee-wee, Shorty, you know, these nicknames from the streets, yeah.
Why Cookie for you, though?
I don't know. It just, they started calling me that, and it stayed. You know, I must have been sweet or nice or whatever. And I was mean. I was the total opposite of that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. So you lived in New York. I know you were born in Puerto Rico. When
Yes.
did you leave Puerto Rico for New York?
Well, back in, we were one of the first Puerto Ricans that left the island. I was about almost 12 years old. I had grown up in a Catholic school in Puerto Rico because my grandmother cooked for the priest and all that. And then I didn't have a mother or father. My grandmother raised me. My father had committed suicide before I was born, and my mother was 14 years old when I was born. So my grandmother took me in, and she wanted to come to the United States to see if we could find a better life. So we were real poor in Puerto Rico, and we thought money grew on trees in New York, you know. So yeah, we came to the city, to Manhattan, and I really came to the United States to get an education because I love school, I love, you know. But soon, it turned out to be a horrible nightmare for me.
When you say turned out to be a horrible nightmare, what made it horrible?
Well, when I went to school in New York, there were a lot of gangsters, and I'm talking back in the 50s. I tell the kids I'm a real OG, a real, you know, real old timer, yeah. And I wasn't used to the fighting, the language, or anything, you know. I mean, I was a nice little Catholic girl, you know, at the time. I had a form of religion, but no, I didn't have the relationship with the Lord. But anyway, I went to school, and there were graffitis all over the school. This was a private school, too.
And in the 50s?
Yes.
Wow.
I came from Puerto Rico in 1953.
Wow.
Yeah, and there were gangs, and there were a lot of things going on, a lot of what we call bullying now. That's what turned me into gangs, because I was really real small and skinny, and the other girls were like bigger than me, and they started bullying me. Now it's popular, you can talk about it, but during my time, you just kept quiet, and other students pushed you around. I couldn't speak English. They made fun of me, and until one day I just got tired of being bullied, and I got into a fight with a much bigger girl than me, and that started me in the gangs.
So from that day, you joined the gangs?
Yes.
So what was
you need for protection, you know.
I know.
I mean, when you don't know God and you live in a concrete jungle like New York City, it's nothing but a jungle, and you don't know God, you become an animal just like everybody else almost, you know. And so I didn't know the Lord. I didn't know God. I became by this time like an agnostic. I didn't care. I thought if there was a God, why are all these things happening to me? I blamed God. There wasn't anybody there to guide me or lead me or whatever. And being in a gang, you felt like you belong, you know, you have friends. I don't know, it was just a way of belonging to somebody or someone. And soon, you know, I started getting in a lot of trouble. So my dream of becoming a teacher or whatever went out the window.
I see. When you're getting into trouble, what kind of trouble?
Well, you know, it is really kind of way ahead of the times nowadays, but when I was in the 8th grade, we didn't like what they call safety now, school monitors, you know, and I was in a gang, pretty bad gang, you know, and the Dragons, the Viceroys, and so we were outside the school cafeteria, and we used to make our own guns, zip guns, you know, bullets and rubber bands and all that. I mean, this is like the old days, and it was a floor like this, and the boy didn't let me go up the stairs, and we pushed him, and my friend, kids call him my homeboy now, but my panita, my Nino, had a zip gun, and we put it on, you know, the bullet ricochet, we pulled the trigger, which was a rubber band, the bullet ricocheted the floor because it hit the boy. I mean, I'm talking about back in the 50s, when things like that didn't happen in schools. You know, it came out in the paper, they couldn't put my name down, so they considered me mentally unbalanced. They sent me to Bellevue Hospital. It's a well-known psychiatric hospital. They analyzed me, and they said that I was kind of crazy. And at this time, they didn't have places like the juvie and all these other places, so they locked me up in a place for almost mentally ill. And they didn't put me with teenagers, they put me with the adult, the women. And I was locked up for a long time there because I kept getting in trouble and fighting and getting in trouble. And I had been doing pot, I'd been smoking pot and snorting heroin at the age of 14 and 15 years old. So all that was against me, and after that I became just an hombre, in and out, for 7 years.
Where was Christ at this point in your mind?
What was what?
Where was Christ?
Christ, like the Lord?
The Lord, yes.
No, I didn't even think about it. I didn't believe. I thought if there was a God, or if there's a Lord, like they told me when I was a little girl in Catholic school, I mean, where is he? Why are all these things happening to me? I was blaming him. I was blaming God, so I didn't want to believe in anything or anybody. And then drugs became my God. The drugs, the heroin. I became a heroin addict.
Wow, wow.
Yeah.
So after 7 years, what happened?
Well, then when I turned about 22, I started when I was 14, about in and out 10 years. You know, I did time I did a felony. I did time for felonious assault on a policeman back in the 60s. I was facing 20 years in prison. And through a miraculous way that now I know it was God, because had I been found guilty, I wouldn't be with you tonight. I would be dead, or I would have killed somebody and would be doing life, or, you know. But again, I was able to win that case. And finally someone, we used to call him my crime partner, he had gotten saved. I didn't know about saved. I didn't know anything about anything being saved or anything about Christianity. And in this ministry, they began to pray for me because they called me crazy cookie in the streets. I was really crazy, you know. I mean, I was young and out there and real crazy, and I would do anything. I was daring. I would fight. I was just plain crazy. And so Dutch, my ex-crime partner, had gotten saved, and about 6 o'clock in the morning, he told me later on that the Lord woke him up and told him to come and find me in the streets, and he did.
At this point, you were homeless?
Yes. I had a child I had a baby, that everything you hate about your mother or your family, you become. My mother had me when she was 14, gave me away. I didn't know, she didn't raise me. My father's mother raised me, and my father committed suicide at almost 17 years of age when my mother was 3 months pregnant.